What's going on, guys? It's Super Span here. Today, I just wanted to talk about the upcoming NBA draft and what I think the Chicago Bulls should do with the seventh pick. Now, a lot of people are saying that Michael Porter Jr. may not be there at 7, or he might get picked number 2. He could get picked anywhere from 2 to 15. It's according to ESPN, so I don't really know how accurate that is because he's not going 15th, but uh, by some chance if he does make it to 7, I personally really think the Bulls should take him. I think he is that good of a player to where he can change your franchise. The Bulls already have a pretty decent young core there, and I really think that just the addition of Porter alone would do so much for the team. That is if he comes back from that back injury and plays as well as we hope he can. Because there's been a lot of players that have had back injuries that's really negatively affected their career, such as Dwight Howard, Larry Bird, and then there's been so many others. And it's such a scary situation because he's such a good talent on one hand, but on the other hand, he only played 2 games in college, and those weren't the best games, but really, I kind of want to stay away from looking at those games and basing his potential off of those games alone. Look at high school. He was a monster. He was the best. He was the number one player in high school. I believe that was until Marvin Bagley came back or something. I don't know exactly what that was, but he was such a highly touted prospect. Signed with Washington, and then his dad got fired, and he went to Missouri, and it was a huge deal. I personally wanted to see him play in college, but unfortunately we didn't. But I just think, if somebody is even remotely compared to a great NBA player, let alone a 2-time champion, Kevin Durant, I think you should at least take a chance on him. If not, if we can't get him, I want to at least get Wendell Carter. I heard Mikal Bridges is pretty good too, but I haven't really done my research on him. I know Wendell Carter. He's he's a decent 3-point shooter, which is good for us. He has a decent post game, and he can play defense in the post as well. And he's a big guy. I was just watching videos of his season at Duke. This guy he's really big, and he can play defense against the big guys. And I guess one of the only downsides to him is that his defense isn't that great in the post. Sometimes sometimes he can get a little confused or nervous. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's my take on him. Personally, though, I'm a huge fan of Porter Jr. Similar to every Bulls fan, really. He's gotten a lot of people supporting him in Chicago, and people that really want him here. And it's crazy because right now he's just a prospect. We don't know where he's gonna go, but I personally believe if the Bulls can get him, you can get a center in free agency. Hopefully, I heard the Bulls are trying to be sneaky in free agency. Or you can make some sort of trade, or maybe develop Bobby Portis into becoming a center, which I would really like to see. I think Portis deserves a chance to start. He played his butt off last year. He really did. And if we can't get Porter, at least get Wendell Carter, or even Bridges, or you know what? I hate to say it, but I wouldn't really mind. Say if Porter was taken, if they took like a guy like Trae Young or Colin Sexton, because those guys are also really popular and they're highly touted prospects, and they had great years at college, and Trae Young has his downsides. I'm sure Colin Sexton does too. but again, I mean, if you're compared to a superstar in the NBA like Trae Young was compared to Stephen Curry early on, I mean, you got to give him some sort of chance. He's going to be a top 10 pick, and we know one thing: he can shoot the ball. And, I believe he's got a decent game inside. So, I mean, we'll see how that kind of plays out in the NBA. He's not the most athletic guy, but then again, neither was Steph Curry. And, I mean, it's just, it's really hard to base a player's success in the NBA or his athleticism or his drive when you haven't seen him play a single game in the NBA yet. So, I mean, he's going to be a top 10 pick. It's just a matter of where. And I'll be surprised if he's a top 5. But, I mean, you never know. Because the thing that worries me is I feel like Trae Young has a ceiling of Steph Curry, but he has a floor or base, if you will, of Jimmer Fredette. And, I mean, we saw Jimmer Fredette. He was a decent enough shooter, but he really wasn't ever able to kind of do anything else about that. His size didn't really allow him to go in the paint often. And it was just such a disappointment. I remember when he was on the Bulls for a little bit. I remember one game he scored like 17 points, and he looked really good. And now he's killing it over in China, so I'm really happy for him there. But I mean, I don't think the Bulls need another point guard right now. I don't care who's taken. They don't need another point guard. It'd be cool to have Trae Young and then he become a superstar, which I think he can be. I think any player in this draft can be. I guarantee you there's going to be some players in this draft this year that are going to be taken in the late first round, maybe even second round, that are going to turn into all-stars. And Trae Young, I mean, you would think some people would kind of learn from Steph Curry when he was in Davidson, like not to overly judge a player based on his athleticism just because he shoots threes and all that sort of stuff. I mean, people said the same thing about Steph Curry. I mean, I'm sure his decision making was a little bit better. I'm sure once he got double teamed, he knew what to do. He knew, to pass the ball or a certain play to run whenever defenses are figuring him out, like they did with Trae Young. But I mean, you would think people would learn. I mean, I'm not gonna judge the kid, and I mean, really, I'm gonna support whoever the Bulls draft, whether it's a point guard, center, small forward. I'm gonna be upset, if because I'm really invested in Michael Porter Jr. Like, I really believe in the guy. Like, I mean, I feel like if there's any player that can become just a superstar, it's DeAndre Ayton and Michael Porter. He's an all or nothing kind of guy. He's got a bad back, but I mean, I really don't want the Bulls to kind of see that if he's there and then not take him because of that. I mean, who knows? Whoever they take, even if it's not Porter, might become an all-star type of player. And we'll just have to see. But, personally, I'm excited. I can't wait. And Bulls fans out there, just relax. Whoever they take, even if it's not Porter, I know everybody wants Porter. So do I. Trust me, I do. But if they can't take him, just support whoever they're taking, because you don't want to be the one guy that's known for talking smack about a certain player that they drafted and then they end up being a star and then you're the number one fan like that Kristaps Porzingis kid. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm actually going to be off on that day, so I'm going to be able to watch it live. So I'll record a reaction video to that. So, I mean, I can't wait. The Bulls are really, really, really close, I feel like, to becoming a playoff team again. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. But I think at least this go around, we have a young core that can actually develop into a great team. Whereas a couple of years ago, our best player was Jimmy Butler. He was 26 years old, and I mean that's still relatively young. But then our second star player was Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo. I mean, not the youngest group and not the highest ceiling. I feel like Jimmy Butler he was great. I love Jimmy Butler as a person and as a player, but I feel like he's really hard to build a team around, and I feel like he can't. It's hard for him to kind of lead a team to a championship. So I mean, they made the right move in trading him. I love Lauri Markkanen. I got his jersey on right now, so and I like Chris Dunn, and I like Zach LaVine. Even Denzel Valentine could be good. So I mean, we'll see how this offseason plays out, whether they get somebody in free agency or they get their next star in the draft. We'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for watching my very first video. I really hope you enjoy. Please like the video, and I'll